No!
What you have just witnessed has been a truly garish segment of television of the moving pictures variety. One strange collection of images straight out of the backside alleys of South Korea. Praised and beloved by most, but mere fecal matter if you look closer into the lenses. One man in particular knows it to be true. In a few seconds, this man, who claims he has nothing to offer, is about to go on a ramble of what he had experienced in the viewing of such trite. Contrary to his name, he has something to offer, but the only way to receive this offer is by taking a step that leads directly into the Twilight zone. Hello. Welcome to the Overnight Rant. I am your host, the man with nothing to offer. And, tonight's topic is going to be about a television show, once again. This is going to be in lieu of my Steven Universe video, where I sat down, where I told of you of a bet a friend of mine's made. Oh, you're gonna watch this show and you're gonna hate it. Well, I did. So I sat down to watch another show, right? A show that I quit 2 years into it. You see, it's called Star vs. the Forces of Evil. It's a Disney show. And unlike Steven Universe, I was there from the beginning to watch it. I had started watching it when it came out, around January 2015, right? And it caught my eye. And I liked it. I really liked it, in fact. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was good enough television to watch. Good enough for a sit down. I watched the full first season, found I quite liked it. So I was hyped for the second season when it got renewed before it premiered. So I was hyped for the second season. I was like, alright. Watched the season 1 finale, Storm the Castle, with Coffee and the whole thing. And leading us into the next season with now destroyed Ludo's castle. I was like, alright. But then I watched season 2. And the show sort of showed itself into the direction where it was going. Where season 1 was an mostly episodic comedy series with lore and stuff like that, I was into it. But then season 2 came along, And season 2 switched its gears a little bit. Instead of being about Star facing the forces of evil, like the fucking title says, Star versus the forces of evil, it suddenly became about Star and her everyday life and her everyday adventures. Now, the show was partially this because, well, Star was sent to Earth, right? Because she was a little too wild, right? Remember that? That was sent in the pilot. But it had a balance of elements in season 1, right? It was a fish out of water series. It was a fish out of water series with Star being that fish out of water, not fitting in with the Earth and trying to, ooh, what is that? Being confused at her surroundings. With Marco as her guide, the person that guides her around, she was the exchange student. Because she was this weird, crazy creature. A little crazy, a little cuckoo. Kept the values of her world intact, She was weird, contrasted to the normal world, the normal realm of reality, And then occasionally she would fight Ludo and his band of monsters who would always be coming for her wand and such, Shit like that. It was basic. I'd say rather too basic, as I'll get into later, but there was a fundamental premise. And even though the season 1 finale is a great episode, don't get me wrong, the flaw that comes within is that now Star doesn't have a consistent form of evil to fight. Ludo was that consistent form of evil. It wasn't really Star Versus wasn't really a villain of the week episode. It was more like a sci-fi element of the week episode. It was more akin to Billy and Mandy. But unlike Billy and Mandy, there was a recurring antagonist to that. The evil, as they say in the show's title. But now only occasionally Star fights evil. Because the majority of the show, is her going through everyday life. Now, that was season 2, everyday life on Earth, as they say, being the fish out of the water on Earth. Now, season 1 did this fish out of water shit, but it was secondary compared to the magic shit, compared to the lore. And even though season 2 includes some of the magic shit, it became more about my character relationships with other people and stuff. And there belies the problems that one of the many problems of this show, Star versus the forces of evil, whatever. What the fuck? The characters aren't deep. In fact, all the characters are one-dimensional. All of them. I'd say there's no exceptions, except for Ludo. The only character that I'd say gets developed throughout the entire show. And maybe Tom. Tom is Star is your stereotypical hyperactive magical girl. She likes magic, doesn't she? She loves magic, but she also loves being hyperactive. She's self-interested. Well, rather she doesn't work within her own self-interest. She's just plainly selfish. And she's annoying. She's voiced by an annoying-sounding person, Eden Shear from the likes of The Middle. Played Sue Heck. I've seen The Middle before. I've watched many episodes. She was the awkward middle child. Went through a sour puberty. You know what? The voice of Star reflects that. Not the design of her character, who's supposed to be a 14-year-old girl, but she sounds like a awkward 19-year-old girl. You have Marco, voiced by Adam MacArthur, or something like that. A half Mexican, half Caucasian kid who's supposed to be a 14-year-old, sort of neurotic kid. Brave kid. But they never really could decide what the fuck he is, neurotic or brave. Pick one. Pick one. Is he a neurotic person who's like a star? Or is he a brave person, a karate fighter who goes too beyond his ego? They can't decide. And all the other characters, most of the other characters aren't even worth mentioning because they're one-dimensional as fuck. And sometimes they're useless as fuck. Like, what the hell was the point of introducing a rich, bratty character like Brittany if we're only going to see her utilized in one episode? Huh? What was the point of introducing Kelly when, if you really think about it, she serves no point whatsoever in the 4 seasons, ever. From the date she was introduced in that Goblin Dogs episode to the end of season 4, she's a completely useless character. And all the other characters. The show went where the little strengths that it did have, which were in, I guess, the adventure aspect and some of its comedy. Because then when I looked back at it, I realized that season 1 was flawed. I may have given off the illusion that I used to like season 1, but now I don't. Because then belies another flaw with Star Versus, where it is the writing. And I know I'm jumping around in various areas in a nonsensical, archaic structure, but I'm getting to my point. And the writing of Star Versus is flawed as fuck. A lot of the episodes, nothing really goes on. Nothing of substance really goes on, or rather. Most of the episodes don't really have stories, they have events. And the events that occur in them aren't really anything interesting. Rather, they're just events of the silly, wacky characters getting along. And they're just, bleh. They're just, bleh. The best episodes of Star Versus are the ones that introduce a concept, sort of a sci-fi, fantastical concept, or some sort of lore in the world, and they explore it. Like an episode like Puberty, where Star's going through puberty. You know, the Munions on Earth. I mean, not Earth. What the fuck? You see, I'm not editing this out, folks. I don't care. This is one run. The Munions on Muni go through a thing called puberty, which they go. It's a variation of puberty where they turn into some sort of creepy multi-armed figured butterfly figure, right? And you see the effects of this in the episode. And the episode plays out as sort of a sort of semi-horror episode. And it's unique. It's a unique sort of variation on sort of a puberty plot. It makes it horrific. There's horrific lighting, there's horrific backgrounds, music, all that stuff. Creative idea. My favorite episode of the show is St. Olga's episode, the initial St. Olga's episode, which introduces the idea of a sort of school where princesses are taught to be a certain way, they're taught to conform. And the episode perpetuates an anti-conformist message, which, whether or not you may agree with the intentions, based on the political views of the creators, the writers, it was well executed. It explored its concept deeply. And through Star's quest to save her annoying friend, Ponyhead, another schlock of a character, you get to see this concept explored. You get to see Marco sort of have to dress up as a princess to sort of coincide with the concept of this school controlled by this authoritarian-like female figure, where it was revealed later in the show that she was mothered by an authoritarian-like figure. Well, before she turned into a baby, but that's beside the point. To teach these girls to act this way, that's an interesting idea, and it has interesting execution. They explore this idea very well. But most Star Versus episodes don't do that. They're mostly just events or interactions between other characters. Because what the show does in season 2, beyond season 1, is that it turns from an episodic series into a slice of life series. And this is where the show fucking falls. It fucking falls into a deep pit it can come out of. Season 1 wasn't the best season. The bad episodes are pretty bad. The bad episodes are usually ones that aren't funny because Starverse isn't really that good at comedy. Despite the fact that, unlike Steven Universe, the writers of Starverses, if you see their catalog, are more skilled and well acquainted with sort of doing an animated series. The comedy is that of the quirky kind, where none of the jokes really hit, none of the jokes really. I don't even know. They lack comedic timing. And even if you laugh at the joke, you only laugh at it for its awkwardness, this awkward quirkiness that sort of realms over all the other jokes, which makes some jokes that would be funny on other shows fail completely. But going back to my whole thing about season 2, is that the switch for the slice of life element was completely for the worst. And it really starts to show when you get to season 3, when Star leaves leaves Earth for Muni, when there's a threat. Now you would think that season 3, okay, so she goes back to Muni. That means we'll get sort of like a climax or whatever, where I guess she fights Toffee, which, yes, that's true. Not technically fight. It's the episode Toffee, the final part of the, I guess, 4-part movie, sort of, well, the first 4 episodes of season 3, which sort of, the Battle of Muni, where they finally defeat Toffee, the villain from season 1, who controlled Ludo, and who was revealed to have led an army of monsters who could regenerate themselves, reptilian creatures that can regenerate themselves. As he turns to dust, right? As he turns to dust, you would think, oh, well, Star's gonna go back to Earth now, but no, she doesn't. She stays in Muni, and this is what kills the show. This right here is what kills the show. If not for its bland characters, if bland one-dimensional characters that aren't of any worth, if not for its bad writing, where most of the stories don't really explore unique concepts, but rather they just explore events or Star's little eccentric moments of the day where she's like, "Ooh, what's that? Oh my god," or she obsesses over something, or yada yada. And you don't really even have any good character dynamics to build off of that. The one thing that the show had intact was that at least it had a fish out of water premise. So even if Star was one-dimensional and just a shit character, so even if all the other characters, all the human characters, all the monster characters are just shit characters, one-dimensional characters, you could at least have a fish out of water premise. But now you don't even have that, because Star is now in an environment that she is mostly familiar with. She is in an environment that she lived in for most of her life. So, and yet she still acts crazy. She still acts selfish. She still acts cuckoo, which means you can assume that she's always like. Now, the series pilot says that for us to know she was always wild and cuckoo. But the series shifts away from that, about this girl just fighting off the monsters, and now she's like, "Oh, well, the monsters, or whatever, they're people too." And so the show becomes a race allegory, I guess, for the monsters. And I guess the Munins, or any magic creature who are allied with the Munians, I guess. I don't even know. The Mumins. They call them the Mumins. It's weird. It's a weird name. So, okay, I guess that's okay, because, you gotta develop characters, but Starverse never really develops characters. It develops new conflicts, because the writers themselves admit that they just fucking wrote whatever came to them. This is the flaw of storyboard-driven fucking story-driven shows because you don't have a proper script to write. You have to write whatever comes to your head, whatever the next drawing that just pops up in your head when with the outline. You only have an outline. You don't have scripts or that anything like that, which is the true flaw because you just draw whatever instead of writing. It's not carefully written. None of this show is carefully written at all. Even in season 1 when it was comedy driven, none of this show is carefully written because the characters are bland, stories are bland, yada yada yada. But I'm repeating myself. So now you lose this dynamic, and now it goes into the whole race allegory thing, full steam ahead. Oh, people who don't howl with monsters are blah, blah, blah. And it just ditches the original show completely. It dishes the original ideas, and now we're stuck with these bland story-driven episodes. And the story isn't even engaging. It's just a basic, really basic race allegory of countries and or a group of people against a group of people. And yes, sometimes countries against countries. So it's really basic when they reveal the eclipse shit, the meteora. The only interesting thing about season 3 is the twist revealed in the episode Butterfly Trap, where it turns out that, yeah, spoilers for those who have somehow watched this video without watching the show, a star and to an extent Moon are not related to the actual butterfly family tree, thus they are not royalty. That was an interesting twist because it's an interesting idea that's introduced and it's executed well. Their reactions where they're just like, everything we've ever known is a lie or something. They never say that explicitly, but that's the sentiment. That's good. That's a good idea. That's deep. But they never really do anything with it. They just say, kick them out of the castle, give the royalty to eclipse later birth meteor, glob globe. Also, the shit twist at the end of the season 3 finale where Glosseric's like, oh, yeah, I was warning you about him. Eclipse is trying to bring him back. That's the name of her husband. That is such a shitty way. It's a shit post. I feel it's a shit post, but not good to put that in your show. And then when you get to season 4, as if the show hasn't fallen far enough from the fucking top. Not even at the top. It was at the middle of the road at best. The show just fucking decreases. Or deprecates into probably what I would consider the worst season of animated television I've ever seen. Season 4 of Starverse is completely horrible. There are no good episodes of season 4. There's one episode which is merely only mediocre. Yes, and that's only because the cliche romance talk sort of wooed me. But what season 4 does is completely devilish. It's completely devilish. It's not only boring, it's not only unfunny, but it just throws away everything, especially towards the end. Everyone knows about the ending. Even fans of the show complain about it. But I shall complain about it for you again. Remind you of the horrors within. Shall I remind you that basically the whole racial turmoil allegory that they built up throughout the show, the whole thing with monsters against humans, the whole thing culminating into a fight against a villain who wants to keep that racial turmoil going as race relations between the monsters and the humans get better due to Eclipse's rule convincing them that monsters and humans are equal. And now the whole thing just culminates down to fuck magic. Fuck magic. Magic is the cause of our centuries, millennia, even a racial turmoil. It's not the conflict. It's that magic caused this. Magic. That's right, magic. Magic is the cause of our racial turmoil. They never focused on this throughout the whole entire series, right? Never focused on this. Not a note of this. Not a word until the second to last episode. Literally the second to last episode. The tavern at the end of the multiverse or whatever. I don't care. I think that's a parody of the second Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book. The tavern at the end of the multiverse. Then, which leads to the horrific finale, Cleaved, which is quite possibly the worst episode of animated television I've seen up to date, which is just a culmination of shit. Our star completely removes the magic from her world. Magic which she once had no problem with, which she had pride using it with. But when the villain seems unwinnable, right? Unwinnable. She's like, fuck magic. For no reason. For no reason whatsoever. Season 4 was already very terrible, very bad. There was nothing of worth in it. The characters have degraded completely. The stories have degraded completely into annoying drivel. Nothing was funny. Nothing was even warranted. They throw concepts at you, but they never explore them. They're just conversations between one-dimensional characters and stereotypes. Nothing. Nothing is well explored in Season 4. Anything you could come at me with it, nothing is well explored. And then it just ends on a complete utter piece of shit. Other piece of shit. They're just like, fuck magic. It doesn't matter to us. Oh, the magic that built your world. Creatures that were magical. Creatures that were magical. Oh, fuck that. Might as well destroy it. Then they destroy the split between the two worlds too somehow. Somehow, destroying magic completely destroyed the split between the two worlds. And now humans and monsters and regular humans can now interact in their little paradise because, yes, this fixes race relations. I think Star versus the Forces of Evil is the perfect cure for race relations. A combination of two species of monsters and humans. Or mutants, rather. They fought for many years, many centuries, many millennia. This is how you put them in the world. This is how you rather put them in a world of pure euphoria, where race relations are perfect. You just put them in a new world, a new Earth, where not only they have to deal with new shit, new laws, new regulations, but now the humans have to deal with a bunch of unorthodox creatures running around the Earth. This is quite perfect, isn't it? It's the perfect ending, right? It's the perfect love story, the swan song for what they've been building up from the beginning. And Star and Markle are going to get together. Obviously, the girl who has stayed in the home of a boy, a teenage boy. Oh, yes. She's going to get fucked by Big Daddy Marco with his big spick cock. Oh, yes. Oh, Marco. Yes. Fuck me, Marco. Yes. That's what it all culminated to. Getting fucked by Big Daddy Marco. This is the ending. I can't imagine being a fan of this show. Sitting there, looking at the ending. And just thinking, yeah. This is what I wanted. This right here. Yeah, it's what I wanted. I really wanted this. I really wanted this, didn't I? I really wanted this. Even Steven Universe's ending wasn't that bad. They're both 0s out of 10s, to be sure. But while Change Your Mind was a -10 out of 10, as one might say. This one goes beyond the realms. what could possibly be considered a good ending. Or a bad ending, nonetheless. A good. Woo! It's unexplainable. There are so many problems with season 4 that I haven't even covered. The stupid plot trends, the fillery episodes, the slice of life shit, the undeveloped characters, the badly structured, badly paced stories, but the ending. It's an ending that creeps down the skull of man, just sticks with you. How did they ever think of this? And it's weird because knowing Star versus Crew, they're politically left leaning. Well, I'm not, but knowing the left wing's ideas and stuff, would they really side with the ending? Does Darren Nefsey herself, left leaning as she is, will she even approve of that? She really even appeal to that ending? Yes. By fixing race relations, we put the two who have fought for years at a time into one world. Let's just force them into a scenario completely. At the risk of anyone. It doesn't matter who. Just at the risk of anyone. No one cares. Who cares? Right? Who the fuck cares? No one cares about these characters. They're all one-dimensional. No one cares about our story. Let's end it on the worst note possible. Let's end it on the worst note. It's genius. I have just created a multi-million-dollar show. Or $1 million show. It's called Star Versus. And I have just solved race relations. I'm a genius. I'm a man of high IQ. I have 165. That's my IQ points. 165. I'm a genius. And fuck this shit. Completely. Fuck it straight up. The anals. Man's disillusionment with reality. Good night. God fucking bless you. Exit the man, for he has nothing left to offer, if he ever did in the first place, for he has offered only a menagerie of wasted time. Time that could have been used more wisely instead of crossing paths with one's opinion over a set of wasted afternoons. Sure, the exaggeration of a poorly executed story of persona alicritas is nothing to write home about. However, if you were to ever watch it for yourself, you may find that you have come upon a certain future, a future that lends itself directly to the purgatory of the Tweedledee Zone.